I don't think it makes any sense to create, say, this Gen 3 platform, which is designed to be cranked out, millions of units per year at a fraction, 50% of the cost, 50% of the footprint. For you to really be able to leverage that line, you need to pump out millions of units per year, in my opinion. And if you're thinking about the current sort of fleet of robotaxis you would need to realistically start making a dent into, say, Uber or Yellow Cab in New York, or public transportation or taxis in different cities in the U.S. Let's start. You don't need that many robotaxis. You need maybe, like, I don't know, 100,000, a couple 100,000, maybe 500,000. I don't even know what the number is, but it's not that many. And so that is like 1/4's worth of production of today's Tesla in robotaxis. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I think it's in Tesla's best interest to still come out with a compact car that you can drive, that will be sold in every market possible. So not just the United States, Europe, China, try to get into South America, try to get into Africa, all these other places. So you can maximize the number of units that come out of this line. And then as the jurisdictions start turning on, self-driving. So let's say Orlando, SF, Austin, LA, San Diego, Phoenix, all these guys start turning it on. You're going to need 0.01% of that fleet to, or whatever the math is. 0.01 is probably too small, but you know what I'm saying, right? And then you start shifting the numbers over. And then as self-driving becomes more and more obviously the primary way to get around for let's say half of the population, say they don't have a need for a car in their garage and they just want to get from point A to point B, then the robotaxi becomes a no-brainer solution because it'll have by far the lowest cost per mile, right? And so what I want to hear on 8.8 is that plan. And I'm sure they're not going to talk about the compact car because that's going to Osborne the hell out of the Model 3. And it's in their best interest to keep quiet on that thing. And just once it's ready to go off the line, they put it up on the website. They're like, okay, order now, get it in a month or whatever, iPhone style. The way I think about it is twofold. So number one, if you think about Tesla right now, so Model 3, Model Y, Model S, Model X, Cybertruck, I think all of us on this call, most of us can agree that Tesla offers the best value for money for a car, period. Right? Period. Like performance, comfort, luxury, feature set, safety, absolute freaking no-brainer. I just test drove the Model 3 Highland today at my local Tesla store while I was getting my tires swapped, okay? And I can't believe that car is less than 40,000 starting. It's unbelievable value for money. How come everybody's not buying a Tesla, right? I think there's going to be always a transitionary period for any type of technology. And so that's number one. So just because Robotaxi can do that, I think it's going to take time for it to actually do that. And then number two, so LA, SF, Austin, San Diego, all these other places may very well start Robotaxi, allowing Tesla to run a Robotaxi fleet, let's say in the next 12 to 24 months if Tesla has the technology, right? But then you still you're going to have large parts of the let's say the United States that are going to be very resistant to change. Like, for example, the NYC situation. Do you remember how tough of a time Uber had getting into a lot of those cities? I think something very similar is going to happen to Robotaxi technology, because that talk about disruption. Not only are the yellow cab guys getting destroyed, the Uber drivers are getting destroyed as well, right? And so you think about that in the United States, and then you think about South America, you think about Europe, you think about Africa, you think about China. You have some sort of combination of jurisdiction, and you need time to essentially study those areas and have enough Teslas there so you can have the data to feed the system, right? And that's going to get faster and faster over time. So over the long term, for sure, Tesla's core, let's say it's going to be, it's pretty easy to see that in 2035 onwards, Tesla's probably core mission is going to be to go all in on autonomy and all in on robotics, right? But until then, I think it behooves the company to still cater to the market that sees a really good value in a car that they can drive that could also have the possibility to drive itself if they so choose. And so, and that's why I think it's important for them to still release a compact car, because between now and then, if that Gen 3 platform is alive and they can leverage the lines to crank out cars, it's probably not going to be that hard to say once you reach, 10 to 20 million cars per year, then you're like, okay, just remove steering wheel and pedal and add the arm, right? Then all of a sudden you have this giant manufacturing capacity to flood the world with these self-driving cars whose cost per mile might be 25 cents per mile, even less, right? The cost per mile variable, if you think about, if you just take the United States as an example, right? The United States, half the country lives paycheck to paycheck, and if they have a $500 to $1,000 surprise, they're screwed, right? Most people in this country, and we're one of the, if not the wealthiest country on the planet, half of our population is still extremely price conscious. And if there is a solution out there that's going to solve one of humanity's largest needs, which is to get around, which is going to be a fraction of the cost and way safer and way more reliable and way more luxurious because you have privacy and you have top of the line technology in the car, entertainment, comfort, who wouldn't choose that, right? For sure, 100%. But I do think, in the same token, we should expect a period of time where the entrenched powers, the entrenched sort of industry that will be massively disrupted by this technology, they'll do everything they can to slow it down in some way. It's inevitable, but I do think it will take time for it to permeate everywhere. But I think what's going to become very obvious for people over time is that this is an absolute no-brainer, just like the smartphone was, just like computers were, just like the internet was, so on and so forth. It's too fundamental. The first principles thought process of how to define a robotaxi makes a ton of sense to me. But I think to take it even further, I think it's in Tesla's best interest to take whatever this platform is, in my opinion, and offload the outfitting of the robotaxi onto fleet providers. So, like for example, Airbus and Boeing, as an example, they're airplane manufacturers, right? And they make the shell, they make the plane, they make this sort of groundbreaking technology that gets people in the air, which is still blows my mind to this day that airplanes exist. But that's their breakthrough, right? But they're not the ones that are outfitting the interior. They're just giving it to Virgin, Southwest, Delta, United, so on and so forth, right? And they're the ones that figure out how to make the inside work. That's how I view Robotaxi. I think if you really want to get to a point where you can shift your manufacturing capacity from, let's say, a compact car with an interior that Tesla has managed to a robotaxi that is fully customizable, you give it to a bunch of fleet providers, and then those fleet providers figure out how to make the inside, and they can make decisions with with the seats. They can make decisions with the screen. They can make decisions with the arm. They can make decisions with the TVs, the screens, so on and so forth. And then they're the ones that are responsible for the upkeep, the maintenance, and everything. And if they want to operate in the robotaxi network, what they do is they basically, I don't know if they pay like a token fee or they pay an upfront cost and then Tesla takes a cut, or maybe Tesla can take a bigger cut if they don't want to pay the upfront fee. Whatever it is, you pay a toll to Tesla to enter their fleet. And then Tesla has this rule that says only Tesla robotaxis can operate in our fleet. But any of us could buy a robotaxi from Tesla and outfit it however we want. Maybe Herbert wants like a entertainment robotaxi. Maybe I want like a commuter robotaxi, right? You start creating these like very individual use cases for people that would be looking to rent a taxi, essentially, kind of like how people rent a limo for prom. But if I'm trying to go to the airport, I'm just calling a freaking Uber, right? And then that's how you start customizing this thing. And then this way, Tesla can just literally, when they shift production over, they can just take everything out of the inside, make manufacturing even simpler, and just give the shell to freaking everybody, give them the specs on how to outfit it, and let them figure it out. That's how I picture Robotaxi. I think they're vertically integrated, and what vertical integration means is simplification more than anything. True. And so when you're taking, like, let's say you run and I know like Tesla has said in the past that in places where there are enough robotaxis in a region, we will add robotaxis to the region. But when there are enough robotaxis in the region, they're not going to add robotaxis to the region. So like we read it right in the master plan part 2. In my opinion, the indication there is that they are not willing to sort of run their own fleet. They'll sell their robotaxis gladly, and they'll charge a fee if you want to add it to their network, which is basically an Uber without a driver. But I really don't think they want to take that on because that's going to add a lot of complexity. Then you got to add, now you have to essentially deal, and I say deal loosely, but it's true. You have to deal with the customer that is going to use a low cost, a low dollar per minute sort of thing that is going to really broaden the pool of people you're going to have to deal with. And then Tesla essentially has to create a Uber arm that is much more centered around taking care of the customer, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But Tesla's core expertise, in my opinion, is just making really great technology that just works, right? Even in Robotaxi, you're going to have a lot of issues because people are going to be freaking thrown up in the car. They're going to be trashing the car. They're going to be, they're going to be there's going to be all kinds of things. You don't have a person there to like ensure that nothing bad happens.